go. I see my spirit froze, creeping with the nearest ghost. I clear my throat when I wrote it, I started speaking. Not teaching you to sleeping when you're freaking on the weekends. It deepens the start of new progress throughout the day. I don't play, what can I say? Chase tomorrow's dreams today. Or fade away into the void of your normality. Tortured by the fantasies, avoided when you plant the seeds. Determination, ambition, not christened by your wishing. Listen with your vision, you risen through the frisson. Gravitate to that you die, you never be. Don't waste your energy, that's success for your enemies.
Who in the hell talked in my space? That's like calling 1-800 collect an ass whooping. And no, that ain't no toll-free call. You hear what? You got a problem with that, Nigga? You could've killed somebody. I be doing him a favor. Nigga, you better have ass whooping insurance. That's right, nigga.
Walk your curious feet through bee gardens where we started, and breathe for departed dearly. Never fear me, for I am just a man who's without a plan, dragging his soul through foreign lands. It can't get better, just believe it for yourself. The wealth never adds up to measuring up your health, so please leave all conceived notions at the door of the second floor in this greenhouse by the shore. I said before that I would make my return, bringing back all the skills and the knowledge that I have learned. Concerned with the state of hip-hop before the world, for the little boys and girls, colored people caught in swirls of this fucked up experiment. And I know when they're in it, you try not hearing it and refuse to place your fear in it. Look into the past and read the words on the pages. Listen to the past and hear the voices of the sages.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
Hell no. Granddad, let's put this nigga's ass right now.
You wanna do something? Big ass nigga. Hold up. I'll sell you shit.
En la escena perplexa en la situation. Another era, the future. I come from the 2000th millennium to here. I get in a car and I slide through time. Exactly correct. You inhabit two worlds. So far, I see nothing strange.
Hello.
We're here.
It is
Hello.
Wednesday.
Spoopcast number 36.
Number 36.
36.
We're here. Welcome, everybody. We'll give everybody a second to settle in. Welcome back to the show. 36 of them.
Content
been a good-
Kings.
Yeah, Content King's been a good one. We got a good show for you guys. Last show was a good one. The show before that was a good one. They're all great. You can watch them all on our YouTube. Just look up Spoop Podcast or go to the link in our description. Scroll down a little bit, and you'll be able to watch everything. Everything's timestamped, nice and pretty. Yeah. We always talk about some very interesting things. Yeah, right there. Look at that.
Yeah.
Michael just put it in chat for us.
Soon to
how's your-
be all on Spotify and stuff too. We're getting that to you
Yes,
guys. Be
yes.
patient. It's happening. Don't worry about it.
How's everybody been since the
Been good.
last time?
It feels like it's been a while, right?
Yeah, it feels long.
I think
I fixed
whenever
my audio issues, so that's good.
Yeah, that
The
Michael
ro-
got sniped last time.
The robot
Yeah.
mint arc.
I think whenever we miss one, like it has a layover effect. Like it doesn't just feel like a long time on to the next one. It feels like even after like a couple, it feels we
Yeah, we
gotta
gotta
get
get-
our groove.
We got to get back into it.
Yeah, but we're nice with it. So not really.
Damn right we are. Basketball pod coming soon.
That's true. Me and Stavros.
Fucking stop. Stop is so funny. Have you seen his fucking his erotic calendars?
Mm.
They're
Is it just
fucking
pictures of him.
they're great. He's like, yeah.
disgusting.
It's uh like February's like get some Hedguary, and then it's like jizz lie.
You guys know what Letterboxd is?
Letterbox? No.
It's like a movie reviewing site. And he got fucking like temporarily banned from Letterboxd because all of his reviews are like super sexual for like no reason to, like, oh, Home Alone is like, stuff like that.
Oh shit.
So, you know,
Yeah.
I need to get a Letterboxd. I don't know if it's a free thing or not, because I would like to review. I have a movie and I review some movies there.
Fucking curator over here, dude.
I mean, we were watching a movie before the pod. That was
We
fun.
were.
That was
Very
nice.
interesting.
Yeah.
We gotta watch fucking Jim Cotta. That shit looks fucking hilarious.
Yeah, Jim Cotta looks fun.
On that note, I reckon we get into it yet.
Yeah.
Speaking of basketball pod, we have something pretty non sequitur, just something I saw scrolling throughout my day, and I was like, oh, this is funny. So I have this post millennial meme, and the headline reads, breaking: NBA to require all teams play the national anthem before games 1 day after Mavericks abandon practice. So I don't really give a fuck about all the shit that they typed. This headline was just really funny to me because this is obviously a big push from like the conservative side of sports and whatnot, and their whole thing is like during the Kaepernick thing and every other time like the Black Lives Matter stuff happens in sports. They're like, we need to not politicize sports, guys. We need to take politics out of sports. They're there to play the game. And then here we have this. Not only do we have things like, like Air Force versus Navy football games and shit. Now we're forcing all NBA games to start with the national anthem, furthering the indoctrination, as well as forcing that shit, forcing people's allegiance to this shitty country like down their throat, and like very literally politicizing just the sport. And so like if people say like, take politics out of sports, that means no more military sponsorships in games, no more national anthem in games. If you're serious about depoliticizing sports, you have to be thorough and not just don't talk about black people getting killed by cops, but go ahead and sing my national anthem from white people who are off beat, off rhythm. But yeah, that's really all I want to bring up from that. It was just something short to get out of the way. That was really meme, and then it's just a picture of fucking Mark Cuban. I think his fucking name is big meme.
Yeah, because I think he's the owner of the Mavs, right? And they're like the one that was like, oh, we're not gonna do the anthem, and I mean we're not gonna sit here and praise Cuban or anything. But,
fuck Mark Cuban.
Yeah, fuck Mark Cuban, exactly. But yeah, you're totally right. Like the hypocrisy is so funny. It's just an extension of like, yeah, this is when you don't allow people to like protest and choose, like have a voice in the sport. Like this is the inevitable like message they're sending in the end. They're like, hey, everyone has to do the national anthem. Like
forced nationalism.
It's just stupid.
Yeah.
Thought we were the country of freedom and choice. But...
They can almost never give you a good reason why you should do it.
Well, this is in our interest, remember?
Yeah.
It's all in our interest.
I thought they always played the anthem during games.
They normally do, but I think this spurred because the Mavericks team, like for either their practice or something or a game, they didn't do it, and that's what.
Imagine like freaking out over them not doing it at a practice, if that's what it was.
Yeah, I think it became news, and then really the NBA felt the need to act on that. Like it's very funny. Yeah, just stupid.
They act on this instantly, but when it comes to like the whole Black Lives Matter thing, they're really quiet at first. They don't want people to talk about it, and
they helped shut down the players' voice in regards to that. When
they brought in Obama. They were smart. They knew what would shut them up.
But yeah, do you wanna?
Let's go ahead and move. Let's continue on.
Yeah, so I think kind of the same. These first two don't really correlate to the rest here, but it's okay. They're important still. This is Nathan J. Robinson, who's I think he writes for Foreign Affairs, and he has written for The Guardian. He's kind of a goof. He has like a fake British accent, wears a suit, but nevertheless, like this statement here, it says, this is his tweet. It says, one of the most serious threats to free speech is the silencing of criticism of the government of Israel. I've now found this out the hard way, having just been fired as a Guardian columnist for sending a tweet about U.S. military aid to Israel. And yeah, so we've used the Guardian as a resource before, and that's not to say like there isn't individuals that attempt to publish good work in the Guardian, because we've used it as a source before. But it's so disgusting they do something like this because, Nathan J. Robinson isn't like some radical like critic of Israel either. He's pretty like mild social democrat too. So if they're willing to silence him, like, I mean,
imagine any sort of dissenting left voice beyond.
Yeah, I mean, he's on the same page as us. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's about criticizing giving money to Israel to continue the apartheid state against the Palestinians. Mm-hmm. But he's a known writer that has a publication and has written in the Guardian. So it's like to ban him from the Guardian is pretty crazy.
No, absolutely. And yeah, he is like a big, like not like super big name, but like most people know who Nathan. If you're into like politics, like political realm, you know who Nathan J. Robinson is more likely than not. And so absolutely, and so yeah, like imagine anybody smaller than him getting instantly shut out.
Right, and especially more radical.
Exactly, I was just about to say anybody even more left than. No, yeah.
So I really feel bad for the journalists who are actually pro-Israel, but simply just report on the misdeeds that they do. And like, no way, I love Israel. I didn't mean to tell the truth or anything.
Yeah, sometimes they really like if you see some of the news within Israel. I don't know if we've covered that before too, or just talked about it, like because they're just so deeply indoctrinated there, like. Yeah, they proudly tout like war crimes, basically.
No, yeah, absolutely, and then they'll just blame it, like we've talked about with the electronic intifada, just blatant lying
on Hamas or something.
Yeah,
some baseless claim that has no grounds in fact.
They threw rocks, so we shot them.
Right, exactly.
They did like basic retaliation for our just annexing.
But we can move from this. I just wanted. Just like the other thing, just to bring this up to highlight it, because that's stupid. Anyone should be allowed and able to criticize Israel, especially when they do something as disgusting as what they've been doing.
Absolutely, and yeah. I'm trying to find this fucking picture. Oh, one sec. I actually want to pull this up really quick. Carlos, do you want to go ahead and pull this up on stream? I'm putting it in chat staff right now. I'll wait for Carlos to pull it up for everybody.
Okay, I got it here.
Yeah, go ahead and pull it up. So yeah, it's just it's a representation of the loss of Palestinian land since 46. And yeah, you see like 46, the partition plan in 47 instantly just shrinks to less than half of size. And then the overall deterioration from 49 to 67. And now we're at this point, and this was last, in the year 2000, and just even within its own fucking borders, it's just so tiny. Yeah, it's insane. And this is from 2000. I imagine it's gotten much worse in 2 decades, especially with the continued expansion with illegal settlements and whatnot. Yeah, I just wanted to pull this up. I saw it on Twitter and I was like, Jesus Christ! It definitely puts it into perspective.
Yeah, just this 80-year span.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just 1 year, 46 to 47 when the UN
Yeah.
partition plan, less than half of the fucking size instantly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to pull that up really quick. We can go ahead and continue on.
And that was good though, because it visual like we can talk about it all day, but it's like
Yeah, exactly. Which like it puts it into perspective. Being able
pretty
to
much post World War II, they just took the land from them,
Mhm.
no question. So we've been talking about Myanmar a lot because of the coup that was there, and we had a coverage of just kind of covering it, and we're like, hey, we know a little bit of history of Myanmar, but we're not gonna like say anything because we don't really know anything about the political situation, the climate. We can just guess from what we know. We did a follow up, I think, either last episode or before, kind of fleshing out even more like what's going on there. And it was, we were pretty much right on our assumptions. But I saw this here from, I think it's Steven Donziger, the guy that's sued Chevron for Ecuadorians, indigenous Ecuadorians, and they
Yeah.
have them on like house arrest.
Put on house arrest for fucking
It's
how
like
long? Like
over a year now,
Yeah.
like a year and a half.
it's insanity.
I saw him post this, so I was like, oh, this is like another layer we can maybe add to help, inform our understanding of the coup in Myanmar. So, we could tie it to something at home too. So, this is from for Myanmar.org. It says how oil and gas majors bankroll the Myanmar military regime. February 8th, 2021. As Myanmar's generals look for revenues to prop up their new dictatorship following the February 1st coup, there's one source of money they can count on. Natural gas projects backed by foreign investors, including France's Total and Chevron of the US, South Korea's POSCO, and Malaysia's Petronas. Myanmar earns close to US $1 billion a year from natural gas sales. Much of this money is not paid directly from oil companies to the government. It flows through Myanmar Oil and Gas Enterprise, MOGE, a state-owned enterprise with deep links to the military's business empire. Alarmingly, the recent military coup places MOGE and the rest of the government under direct military control. MOGE doesn't publish its accounts or even have a website of its own, and attempts to make its activities more transparent are likely to grind to a halt. This opacity increases the risk that gas revenue will pour into the pockets of corrupt officials, as well as be used to fuel the military regime's international crimes against ethnic and religious minorities, including genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity. Investors face possible sanctions against the regime from the international community, which I haven't seen anything to back that claim. So, Justice for Myanmar calls for all businesses with commercial ties to MOGE to immediately cut ties. If it's business as usual, foreign investors in Myanmar's gas will be funding an illegitimate and brutal military regime as they did before 2011, when the country was under full military rule. The people of Myanmar have mobilized against dictatorship through a national campaign of civil disobedience and boycotts against military-owned products. Even MOGE's own staff are publicly protesting. So yeah, we can stop there, and I would recommend reading more of this because it goes more into specifics rather. But yeah, do you guys have any like general thoughts about it before I continue on?
No, go ahead and continue on. I think it's pretty concise. Natural resource ties to the United States has led to so many problems in like Central and South America, as well as abroad. So it's
Right.
like you said at the beginning, before you even read the article, it's adding another layer to how I guess less random this was. Like this wasn't like, I guess, as it's kind of somewhat being portrayed in mainstream media, like with the little coverage it gets, like as some like random military
Out of
takeover.
line, yeah.
Exactly. When like this, like, and yeah, it's just another layer of like, okay, this was definitely a lot more calculated of a military coup, and going forward, we'll definitely see what's going to happen. And actually, Biden recently's been talking about putting sanctions on Myanmar.
Interesting.
They're called military official sanctions. I don't,
Right.
and that's what they may say right now. But then they're like, okay, we gotta throw in a couple more provisions, and then it ends up, then you end up killing civilians with your sanctions, like the U.S. has done all over the world, and is continuously doing right now in places like Venezuela and Iran. Yeah, there's countless deaths because of U.S. sanctions all over the world, and we've had sanctions on Myanmar previously, and there's still, I believe, some sanctions, but yeah, like they're talking, like Biden right now is talking about like major export cutoffs or something.
Right.
So yeah, we'll definitely have an update depending on what Biden does with this whole Myanmar situation.
That's a good point though, because it ties in like, and I think the whole point of me bringing this up really is that, like all things, it's capitalism, of course, and it's these corporations, bankrolling, undemocratic regimes in other countries. Can we pull up this tweet? If we remember recently, this is from the Chevron Twitter account.
Oh,
It says, we call for the peaceful transition of the U.S. government. The violence in Washington, D.C. tarnishes a 2-century tradition of respect for the rule of law. We look forward to engaging with President-elect Biden and his administration to move the nation forward. So that, they have these panderings they say that on Twitter. Meanwhile, they, imprison guys like Steven Donziger who try to fight their corruption in Ecuador. They bankroll military regimes in countries like Myanmar. And like you said, like it's all going to be, they're going to cloak it as like they're going to try to help Myanmar, but most likely they're going to come out with sanctions that we know just damage normal people and hurt, the actual economy of normal everyday people and their ability to get healthcare and food and medicine, etc. I have one more thing to tie into this one too, just to shit on Chevron and make it come full circle, because it's abroad, right? You see Myanmar there, and then you see the comments, at home, and that hypocrisy. But also you see, the disasters. They're causing natural disasters too. They have an oil spill that just happened up in the Bay Area. I believe it was yesterday. And we could show some of that video for a second, just maybe like a moment of silence for the, I'm sure, massive amount of biodiversity that will die because of this. Obviously, anything you see that's like shiny is, millions of gallons of oil. It says about it's leaking. It was leaking 5 gallons a minute. 5 gallons a minute. Yeah.
And that was when this was first posted, so who knows?
I don't know. I mean, I could look now. I don't know what it would be now.
Who was talking about
600 gallon spill? Yeah.
600 gallons spilled so far.
600 gallon spill.
It was Jose. He linked this last night or the night before. I think it was Jose. Jose, is that you? Are you in chat right now?
I think it was Jose. It's just, in case you had, everyone knows this though. Like, come on, fossil fuels, they're not sustainable anymore. In every way, they're bad. Like, they're pandering to us, pretending that like they care about our elections or some shit. They do coups in other countries to steal their resources.
At home,
they spill oil in our bays.
Like almost a quarter of fracking machines break instantly and start leaking natural gas, ruining the environment here at home as well.
Did Biden address that? Didn't he say like he's gonna cut down on fracking or something like that?
I will not ban fracking, Jack.
That was another claim.
We are the party of science, but I will not ban fracking, Jack.
Yeah, it's both sides. It's I'm not banning fracking, and I'll cut down on it, but we haven't seen them cut down on fracking.
And like I say this, I think that every episode we talk about Biden, but yeah, anything he says, just don't believe it till it happens. And even when it happens, read into it because it's probably not what he said it is.
Keep pushing. He's not our friend or something.
Yeah,
Not
he is.
Omar.
Yeah, it's literally Obama. It's what it is. We're seeing Obama.
So I think that kind of gets through our Chevron bit here, and I think really that covered a lot, and is really the theme that's going to go through the rest here. So do you want to hit our break so we can?
Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and go into our first break. We'll be right back after this song. I think this is from SarahTonein, local band here. Shout out them. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching so far. We'll be right back. If you're new and you like what you listen to, go ahead and drop a follow. When we come back, we're gonna be talking about Assange. We're gonna be talking a little bit more about Biden, talking about Brazil, as well as some of the how Britain is funding the atrocities in Yemen.
CIA.
And more stuff on Iran. So yeah, we'll be back right after this break, and yeah, enjoy the song.
We're back, bruv.
We're back, bro.
We're back, bruv. I ain't wearing no fucking mask and no fucking chip shop.
I ain't wearing no
bruv.
fucking mask and no chip shop, bro.
I'd rather die.
Oh
than
shit,
mask.
Marcus, what's up, bro?
The all gas no brakes one.
Yeah.
I'd rather die than wear a mask.
Did you see
God
that the shit
damn.
where the shit where he's at the fucking the biker rally?
Yeah, I think it was that one, the Sturgis bike one.
Yeah, dude.
That is not alpha. That is beta shit. You're willing to die rather than wear a mask? Like, how beta can you be? Evolve, bro.
Scared of a little piece of cloth, bro.
Go crawl back into the water, I guess. Just evolve.
Crawl back in. Get some gills.
I always wondered why they didn't want to wear it, and I feel like it's more like I don't know, it's stupid, but I think
It's
they're like
mind
trying
control.
to like send like a message saying, "Oh, we're not gonna abide by you" or something like that, or like, "Oh, I know this is
First,
Right.
it's
fake
the
or
mask, then it's
something."
the turban. They're gonna turn.
Or
They
they
won't
always say, "Oh,
Sharia.
you're being brainwashed
Yeah,
by the
then it's the
news. It
burqa.
ain't real."
They want Sharia law. They want the women to wear hijabs.
How are the people who admit that like the government is like watching you all the time say that like no, you should not wear a mask?
It's like, oh, I don't want to get the
Yeah,
vaccine.
the thing that primarily disguises you from like facial recognition technology.
Yeah. Or it's like, oh, I don't want to get the vaccine because they're gonna microchip you. It's like, oh, don't you have a social security number and a phone in your
Phone?
pocket?
For
Like,
real.
Digital footprint.
they're not gaining anything from putting a fucking. They can literally put a GPS on your body. They're not gaining anything. They already have that shit. So just fucking be a man.
I
Alpha
think
the
we've
fuck
talked
up.
about that before, right? Like people walking into stores with no mask. It's like a expression of their
Oh,
really their ability to not do anything, and they're like ripping of their manhood, and they're like have to find some way to assert themselves and like assert
That's what
both their
America's all
manhood.
about.
Yeah, that's not approving of it, but it's like, that's the psychoanalysis of it.
committing biological warfare to own the libs.
The
Yeah,
crime that we don't legally have the right to die.
having a psychotic breakdown and walking into a Vons with no mask because my factory job was removed in my town, and my racist white family that has thrived off the back of capitalism for the last 100 years has finally been displaced by capitalism, and now by being threatened by it, instead of joining the struggle with the left, has decided to go to the right. And like, there you go. That's why they're doing it. They're
Okay,
reachable,
who wants
but
me to keep my
sometimes not.
money?
That's why I think it's I always like we talk about especially how important it is to not just don't give up on your relatives and shit.
Yeah.
There gets to a point where they're too far gone, like where it's not your job, but
But we're supposed to be like the, not to say like it's not a war, because we talk about this in terms of class war, but we're supposed to be the compassionate side too. Like, it's a
Exactly.
war of love. Like, all working class people we're supposed to take in if they're willing to be like, guided or like
yeah.
join this working class project that
Who's the quote from? It's you can't beat hate with hate, you only beat it with love, and you can't beat the darkness with dark, you have to bring in the light or something. Who is that?
I've never heard that.
Oh fuck. I wanna say Hampton, but I'm not sure.
could be Fred Hampton.
But yeah, absolutely. And a big thing about
Hampton's the fight. You can't fight fire with fire. You gotta fight fire with water.
yeah, and yeah, I think that's what it is. But yeah, and it's just like a big thing about the whole continuation falling into that pipeline to the right is isolation, and further isolating these relatives who to an extent are you can bring them back, especially months into the Biden administration when they realize that America isn't on fire and the commies haven't taken over. Somebody has to be there to bring them back to reality, and
But the
show
capital
'em-
will still have troops.
and show show them that there's another side. You don't have to just devolve into this. There's a cabal of Democrat baby eaters that are coming for my daughter, and kill the commies. Where's AOC? You don't storm the Capitol with with flex tie, with flex cuffs, and you're like, where's Ilhan Omar? She married her brother. Yeah, like do what you can, because at the end of the day, it's family, I guess. As well as it's kind of like the moral thing to do is don't let them get this brain rot from like QAnon.
Like
and
even
shit.
if you'd call them too far gone, like isn't it better to at least try?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's about building solidarity
Yeah, absolutely.
at the end of the day. So on building solidarity, should we start our second half here?
I think we should.
Solidarity with Iran, hopefully building a bomb to blow our asses up. I would approve of that.
Yeah. So here's
I'll take the bomb from Iran.
Yeah, I'm down.
Yep, that's what we did, man. But in other news, we have this little piece here from fucking NBC. I'm not gonna really go into the details because they're not really that important. It's just a headline and kind of how interesting this can get. And how scary I would say, but not for the reason I think most people assume. Iran producing uranium metal in violation of 2015 nuclear deal, which Trump got us out of, even though the IAEA, the same organization that said that they're building uranium metal, said that they were following the Iran deal to a T. They were well within their levels of whatnot and so for them to now use the Iran deal as some kind of like, how dare they go back on the Iran deal, even though Donald Trump took us out of it and Joe Biden still hasn't, done any diplomacy acts to get us back into a similar type deal. Who fucking cares? And and this is somewhat scary, and not because Iran is building a nuke. That's a good thing. They need the security from the United States of America. They need the peace of mind knowing that if they fuck with them, they have a nuclear weapon. Even though we should obviously move to net zero nukes all over the planet, but
No sign that they even have one yet, and we have like what 1,000 or something.
Well, think about how developed Iran is as a country, and that they don't have one because of
we know why. But yeah, and this is very scary, to continue my point, not because they're building a nuke. Solidarity with Iran, and we hope this halts any sort of push from the United States. But it's scary because just our attitude towards Iran and the director of the CIA right now, CIA director, what's his fucking name?
I don't know who it is now.
It was Biden's pick.
Morse was the one, but they swapped him out, and then there was the Raytheon black guy, but he's not CIA. He's the Department of Defense or something.
But anyway, with who's in Biden's circle and their attitudes towards Iran, it's very scary because we could see this as a possible arms up against Iran, maybe military standoff. We could definitely see hawkishness come for the Biden administration because of
more sanctions.
Exactly, more sanctions, probably more illegal sanctions on things like medicine, which are currently.
It's a good opportunity for him.
Yeah,
he likes war. He supported it quite a bit throughout his career.
So yeah, and I think this is just important to bring up because we have to I guess keep our eyes out for what happens in the future with this situation and how Biden responds to the steps towards possible nuclearization.
Yeah, I think it was last show we had the one where they asked Biden straight up, like, would he be willing to renegotiate this deal, like just as it stands right now, without Iran like having to do anything new? And he's just straight faced said no, which is ridiculous considering the U.S. Like you said, the U.S. is the one that backed out of the deal.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Iran's in all the right here, and if they take more action, I hope if we remember when Soleimani was assassinated, it was really cool in Oxnard to see people did come out and protest against further escalation with Iran in our little town of Oxnard. Wasn't very many of us, but hey, it's something.
No,
And
yeah.
we'll be out there if there's more stuff like that again. Hopefully not. So. What's our next piece? I think it's actually
It's
Michael.
the Assange piece.
Yeah.
Assange. When was the last time we talked about the Assange case?
It might have been just post. So obviously we covered his. Yeah, we covered his trial, his recent trial, and how he's going to go through how they didn't do the extradition because of the they thought he was going to kill himself in a U.S. prison, so they're like, we can't move him. But then again, it was a double-edged sword because now he's going to be stuck in appeals for God knows how long, still stuck in pretty poor prison conditions in Britain. So yeah, I think we did maybe a story right after his imprisonment, or right after the trial rather. But I don't. It's been a while.
Yeah, because I just wanted to bring everybody up to date with that.
It's kind of surprising how much of a tell that is. That's commonly recognized that, like, if he comes to a prison here, it's like he's likely to either kill himself or die here in prison.
Yeah, so much so they can't even do. I mean, they want that, but they realize it's so blatant that they can't do that. So they'd rather him languish in jail there, where they can keep him alive longer.
And obviously, like, he's a prime example of just because you end up arrested and in a situation where you're on trial doesn't mean you really did anything wrong.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Michael's making a good point though. Like, we haven't covered this in a while, and that's a shame because not only is it one of the most important stories, but I think we haven't even talked about it in a while because you don't hear shit about this.
Yeah, I think that's a huge point that you just brought up. How, as important as this is to, our freedom of press, one of our most important rights, we hear literally nothing about this. It's so hard to get info drops on this, and and I absolute solidarity with Julian Assange, and what's happening to him is disgusting, and regardless of what happens, they let him. Even like, let's say tomorrow they decide to drop the charge and expunge him of everything. The torture that he's gone through.
Do you think they'll pardon him?
No, what the fuck, no.
Well,
but let's just for example, if they did, just to finish this before you say something, just the torture that they put him through for all these years. What's the fucking point, Who says even if they pardon him, he's gonna go fucking kill himself because he just went through some of the most insane things ever.
Well, remember, they have no reason to either. What, they're gonna release him so he can go publish some more stuff?
No, yeah, like, I'm not foolish. I'm not, I'm not saying they're gonna, pardon him anytime ever. But just, I just wanted to bring that up. And Jake and I believe had something to say about it before you get into your.
I was gonna say, Michael, let Michael read this here because I think his question of whether or not he'll be pardoned is kind of answered here. Because we knew with Trump that was not going to happen most likely, but there was like that wild card thing that maybe it would. But we never should have. I mean, honestly, we always should have erred on the side of he was never going to do it because Trump is a war criminal pig, like every fucking president is. So, of course, that's how it was going to go down.
Yeah, so let's jump into it. It's kind of. I'll try to keep it. I'll try and read as much as I can as possible. I think it's important here. Hold on, let me turn this up. It's titled Assange Prosecution Launched by Trump Justice Department Will Continue Under Biden. A Justice Department spokesman indicated officials have no plans to abandon a case widely viewed as a threat to global press freedom. The Justice Department under President Joe Biden plans to continue the case against WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange that was launched under President Donald Trump. We continue to seek his extradition. Justice Department spokesperson Mark Raimondi told Reuters days before February 12th the deadline for the United States government to submit its grounds for appeal. The statement represents a departure from President Barack Obama's administration, which declined to prosecute Assange. Justice Department officials were reportedly concerned about the threat it would pose to press freedom. On January 4th, British District Judge Vanessa Barrister rejected the U.S. government's extradition request and concluded Assange's mental condition was such that it would be oppressive to extradite him to the United States of America, end quote. She accepted that Assange would likely be imprisoned at a supermax prison in the U.S. under Special Administrative Measures, SAMs, and would find a way to commit suicide. So you're right. I am satisfied that in these harsh conditions, Mr. Assange's mental health would deteriorate, causing him to commit suicide with a single-minded determination of his autism spectrum disorder. However, the Biden Justice Department plans to contest the judge's conclusion that Assange should not be extradited because he would likely commit suicide. Just one day ago, the Coalition of Civil Liberties, Press Freedom, and human rights groups, including the American Civil Liberties Union, Amnesty International USA, Center of Constitutional Rights, Committee to Protect Journalists, Fight for the Future, Freedom of the Press Foundation, Human Rights Watch, PEN America, Project of Government Oversight, and Reporters Without Borders signed onto a letter demanding that the Biden Justice Department drop the charges against Assange. The indictment, and Mr. Assange threatens press freedom.
Indictment's right, Michael.
Was it indictment?
Yeah, indictment's right.
And Mr. Assange threatens press freedom because much of the conduct described of the indictment is conduct that journalists engage in routinely and that they must engage in, there's two ends, order to do the work the public needs them to do. The letter, so there's a PDF. I'm going to click on this just to see what it is. Okay, so it's just a letter talking about it. To Acting Attorney General Monty Wilkinson declared, journalists at major news publications regularly speak with sources, ask for clarification or more documentation, and receive the published documents the government considers secret. In our view, such a presented in the case could effectively criminalize these common journalistic practices. The coalition noted former Justice Department spokesman Matthew Miller and Biden supporter told the Washington Post in 2013, the problem the department has always had in investigating Julian Assange is there is no way to prosecute him for publishing information without the same theory being applied to journalists. While Attorney General Eric Holder impaneled a grand jury to investigate WikiLeaks in 2010, by the summer of 2013, Holder was reluctant to indict Assange, and charges were never brought by the Obama administration. Assange was charged in April 2019 with 17 counts of violating the Espionage Act and 1 count of conspiracy to commit a computer intrusion that contains elements of the Espionage Act offense. He is detained by the Belmarsh High Security Prison in London and has been denied bail multiple times. The Trump administration positioned itself as an antagonist to the institution of a free and unfettered press in numerous ways, according to the coalition. In February 2017, Trump's first month in office, WikiLeaks published CIA espionage orders and called the attention to how major political parties in France were targeted for infiltration in the run-up to the 2012 presidential election. About a month later, WikiLeaks brought further scrutiny to the CIA when they published the Vault 7 material, which they described as the largest ever publication of confidential documents on the agency. Mike Pompeo, who was the CIA director, responded to the publication on April 13, 2017. He labeled WikiLeaks a non-state hostile intelligence service and argued Assange had no First Amendment freedoms because he is not a U.S. citizen, an assertion with no basis in law. We've had administrators before that have been squeamish about going after these folks under some concept of this right to publish, Pompeo added. Assange, who was living under asylum in the Ecuador embassy, was targeted in a U.S.-backed espionage operation conducted by a private security company called UC Global, which currently faces a crime case in Spain. Pompeo and Attorney General Bill Barr had no problem with employing questionable and potentially illegal tactics that would ultimately result in the arrest of Assange. And now, officials are demonstrating the end of Trump's presidency doesn't mean they will go back to being squeamish towards cases that threaten the right to publish. During Biden's first foreign policy speech on February 4th, he proclaimed, "We believe a free press isn't the adversary, rather it's essential. A free press is essential to the health of a democracy," end quote. However, in Trump's last year in office, he signed a counterintelligence strategy document, and there's a PDF for it, that lumped in leakivists and public disclosure organizations like WikiLeaks with Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, Cuba, and terrorist groups, which U.S. security agencies view as significant threats. Just ending up here in these last two paragraphs, the strategy document, which covers 2020-2022, sharply conflicts with Biden's assertion that the U.S. government believes the free press is not an adversary. Indeed, it shows U.S. security agencies believe they should monitor, neutralize, and even target dissident media organizations that may employ practices pioneered by WikiLeaks. While the tone of the new administration may sound more polite toward the elite journalists by refusing to abandon this dangerous political case, the Biden Justice Department is effectively signaling his administration is not all that serious about press freedom, and what officials have to say are empty platitudes that should not pacify people aware of what is at stake if Assange is brought to the U.S. and put on trial. So a lot of information is being here. So what did you guys take from that?
I think it was said beautifully at the end there.
Yeah.
It really summed it up. I thought it was funny, the 2020, sounded like you said 20twin for a second.
Yeah, and then I repeated it again when I said 2022. A little bit of a tongue twister. Yeah, a lot of information to take in here. So they are aware that of his health and his mental health, and that it's almost like they don't really know what to do because
they don't want to bring him here and like end up dying and maybe them having a bigger.
Right.
I think what there is happening to him now really is their best case scenario, which is like leaving him in limbo in prison in the UK with the chance that he maybe gets extradited to the US at some point. So I think they're fine with that. And I think as this whole article laid out, like, of course, this started before Trump, this started during Trump, and now it's going to continue after Trump. And it just further shows that it doesn't matter really who's the president, especially when, they all just give us these general platitudes, but they're not actually about the policy, which is not prosecuting Julian Assange for being a hero, what he really is.
I just don't see a reason. Like, you shouldn't have been in this like position in the first place. Like, I feel like this whole situation, it didn't even need to be not like addressed, but it didn't even need to be like done. Like the position that he's in, I don't think it's.
No, not at all. Of course.
Yeah, I don't know any other way to put that.
Yeah, I guess just one of the most, not just one of the most important media cases, press freedom, but one of the most like egregious cases of cracking down on press freedom.
Yeah, and I wish I heard more about this, like even not just us, but just to the public. I feel like everybody should
Yeah, I
A
know.
lot of like I bet if I don't know, let's say I went to like a family member and I started talking about the Assange case, I don't think they would know at all what I'm talking about.
It's not public discourse. Like all
No,
we
it's
know
not.
of is what we read on the show and what we read and what we said because we see these things out. But yeah, that only goes so far. There's an element to that too, though. Like a lot of the stuff, like sources I do have on Assange, I trust pretty well because I know like the fact that they're willing to take the risk to cover this kind of stuff and no one else is already gives me like not a trust. I wouldn't say a trust, but like they get some cred for sure in my book.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, other than
guess-
the I mean, the initial media demonization, like with Snowden,
Right.
how they just immediately discredit you. So even if you do hear about them, you're immediately tainted with the idea that there are criminals for telling you what your government is doing.
Right, because Michael was saying, like, if you talk to people, they might not know who Assange is. Like, in the same hand, you might talk to them. They don't know who he is, but their conception of him is what they've heard in the media, which is, yeah, something tied to, like, hacker or something.
Which is shitty.
It is shitty.
Like the way they portray him, like on media when they do talk about him, like it's done in a negative light. It's not talking about like the I guess his positives that the
or even
not
from an
really
objective
negative.
standpoint, like how I think this article covers it pretty objective. It's like, hey, like this is a press freedom issue. Here's what happened. Here's the details. Seems pretty simple.
Mhm.
Do we want to move to our next piece? That was a good piece. Thank you, Michael.
No problem.
Yeah, we can go ahead and move into our next piece here. And so this is gonna be a piece covering Britain's hand, big U.S. ally in the Saudi-led genocide on the innocent people of Yemen. And yeah, it's a very interesting piece. Not too long, and I'm just gonna go ahead and read from it, and then we can discuss after. Starting off with the title here: How Britain's weapons industry supports the war in Yemen. Britain is the world's second largest arms exporter, selling 11 billion pounds worth of weapons in 2019 alone, or euros. And from the beginning of the war in Yemen, the industry has been directly complicit in the humanitarian disaster. Despite a global pandemic and the biggest hit to the world economy since the dawn of capitalism, the arms industry seems to have remained largely undisturbed. BAE Systems has boasted that from disruption in the second quarter of 2020. It has been able to maintain its cash flow and operate with 90% of its employees working. In 2019, the arms industry was on the rise, with the world's 25 biggest arms companies' sales totaling $361 billion, up 8.5% from 2018. Britain has maintained its status as the second biggest arms dealer in the world, with around 60% of arms exports heading for the Middle East. With oil prices back to pre-COVID levels, we can safely assume that the Gulf monarchies have been able to keep up their demand for weapons. As part of Parliament's ongoing arms export controls review, the committee will today hear, and this was on the 2nd of February, will hear evidence in relation to the Department for International Trade and Export Control Joint Unit's work on halting arms sales to Saudi Arabia. Among these giving evidence is Professor Anna Stravanakis, who has been vocal on Britain's role in facilitating Saudi Arabia's war on Yemen. Going to the next piece, or into the next article, or the next section, Since Saudi Arabia began its war on Yemen in 2015, Britain has licensed 5.4 billion euros worth of weapons to the Saudi military. And thanks to opaque open licenses, BAE Systems alone has generated a far higher 15. Is that pounds or euros? That's pounds, right? In revenues from arms services to Saudi Arabia in the same amount of time. That doesn't include arms sales to other countries like the UAE, who are part of the Saudi-led coalition. In 2019, following a judicial review launched by the Campaign Against the Arms Trade, the Court of Appeal ruled that the government had not taken sufficient steps to ensure that its arms exports to Saudi Arabia were not being used to violate international humanitarian law in Yemen and ordered the arms sales to stop. Despite this, it later revealed that the government had allowed the existing export licenses that were supposed to be put under review to continue being fulfilled. Through the Trade Secretary, Liz Truss apologized for inadvertent arms sales that breached the court in September 2019. Oxfam found that BAE Systems were still sending cargo to Saudi Arabia in April of 2020. In July of 2020, Liz Truss announced that the review had any violations of humanitarian law were isolated incidents, and that all arms sales to Saudi and the coalition partners would therefore resume. So yeah, before I continue on, they're just breaking and bending the rules where they want to continue this genocide on innocent people. And I guess another thing I want to say is I guess I never really knew how big of a role Britain played in this whole thing. Because I guess as an American, you only really hear about the shit we do, and how big our impact is. So I guess I don't really think about other countries. That's why I really like Tribune.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, and I think we'll touch on this in a minute with Brazil too. But that's why I think both international news is important, but just international solidarity, because we can't tackle militarism if it's just constrained to the U.S. Any issue. Because like you're saying, post World War II especially, the UK is our little military buddy. They have a bunch of arms manufacturers that work in tandem with us. It's all
absolutely
connected.
And then I'll go ahead and continue on. As Anna Stavrinakis has pointed out, there's
Stavros.
Stavi. There's ample evidence of Saudi Arabia's indiscriminate airstrikes and blockade of Yemen violating humanitarian law. The British government has deliberately blurred the lines on what a possible breach may be, and has likely ignored the majority of the Ministry of Defense's own acknowledgments of alleged breaches. Yemen, for several years, running face to the world's worst humanitarian crisis, and the blame lies principally with Saudi Arabia's war in the country. An estimated 250,000 people have died as a result of the war, the vast majority civilians, and at least 2/3 killed by the Saudi-led coalition airstrikes and blockade. The land, sea, and air blockade has already caused the worst famine in the world has ever seen in a century. In 2018, it had already claimed the lives of 85,000 children under the age of 5. Starvation now threatens up to 24 million Yemenis. According to the Yemen Data Project, 1/3 of the coalition airstrikes on Yemen have targeted civilians, with women and children making up 70% of civilian casualties. UN investigators have found British-made bomb parts, including those owned by US companies like Raytheon, but produced in factories in Scotland, in the wreckages of airstrikes, which have hit funerals and markets, as well as weddings. These bombs have they know no end. These have been deemed to violate international law. And then into the next section here. There are no isolated incidents in Yemen. This is a very clear, evidenced pattern of civilians being targeted. The logic of the British government is deliberately turning a blind eye is clear from Boris Johnson's own comments. As Foreign Secretary in 2016, he claimed that if Britain stopped selling arms to Saudi Arabia, it would be vacating a space that would rapidly be filled by other Western countries who would happily supply arms. But to admit that Saudi Arabia is violating international law would be to expose Britain's role in helping facilitate war crimes. Far from influencing Saudi Arabia, as Johnson and others have claimed, Britain has loyally supported the Gulf monarchy in its war. British troops have been present in the coalition's Joint Operations Center to help with logistics and targeting. Saudi pilots have been trained in RAF bases in Wales. The British government continues to provide diplomatic cover. And this is just super interesting, and the words from Boris Johnson about how this is literally just all for money. He doesn't care about all these people dying. It's just, oi, bro, we gotta make a little fucking extra pounds, bro. Yeah, let me shake your fucking head. I'm not gonna wear a fucking mask at a chip shop, bro.
Boris is the worst. He's
Bo-
so awful. He's not as funny as Trump, and he just looks like a knockoff version. It's just
Not
awful.
Trump, not as funny, and he doesn't have like the fun Cockney accents. He's got just like annoying posh douchebag.
Yeah, it's posh and like it's posh, but he's not like quippy or intelligent either. So it's like
Yeah,
it's all boring.
Yeah, he just has brain rot, but he's got the stuck up
He's
act
pampered, yeah.
like Trump. He's got the fucking New York accent and he
Yeah,
wasted.
I guess shit. I guess in that way, yeah.
And I'll go ahead and continue.
It almost, I would say, it almost defines how much the archetype really is. The fact that the two of them are so similar.
Right, that same kind of con.
And then yeah, I'll go ahead and continue. Part of the reason for Britain's ardent support of Saudi's butchery in Yemen can be explained by the financialization of the economy over 40 years of neoliberalism, which, as David Waring argues, has created a necessary of capital inflows from petrodollars to finance the current account deficit. London's property market, for one, is propped up to a large extent by the Gulf royal family. Most importantly, Britain's role in the Middle East also stems from its special relationships with the U.S.-British foreign policy. Has long been dictated by Washington's strategic interests. Under the Trump administration, the U.S. massively hiked arms sales to Saudi Arabia, and we can tie that directly to corruption in the Trump campaign or the Trump administration. When all those, you guys remember, like, I want to say it was like 350,000 something in hotel rooms from Saudi fucking royals and shit, like such an obvious transfer of wealth, and then we see like an uptick in arms sales.
Something that they can use to impeach Trump under the emoluments clause.
Yeah, but they won't because they don't actually care about impeaching Trump.
Yeah, that will be our 30 seconds of talking about impeachment because they're doing it right now again, obviously.
Fucking waste of time, and I don't want to talk about it because
no, it's not. We must hold Trump accountable. It's not a waste of time. He must be held accountable, not for the war in Yemen, or for the prosecution of Julian Assange, or for the continuation of the system, or allowing coronavirus to just basically kill hundreds of thousands of people. Nope. He's got to be held accountable for
mean tweets.
Mean tweets, yeah. Mean tweets and a cop getting beaten to death with a fire hydrant or something, or a fire extinguisher.
Well,
using his balls.
Individual legislators felt threatened, so I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah. God.
Yeah. And then I will continue on here. More importantly, Britain's role in the Middle East also stems from its special relationship. Oh, I just read that part. Whoops, my bad. Connecting one of the biggest single arms deals in history, worth $110 billion. Trump's decision to pull out of the Iran nuclear deal broker a deal of the century for Israel and move the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem and normalized relations with the UAE, Bahrain, and Israel all pointed to an effort to boost Saudi Arabia as a regional power and stoke the threat of military competition with Iran. His unwavering support for the war on Yemen is also part of this proxy war with Iran. However, as a result of pressure from below, the incoming Biden administration has frozen arms sales to Saudi Arabia while a review takes place, and the new Secretary of State, Tim Blinken, has said that Biden has made clear that we will end our support for the military campaign led by the Saudi Arabia in Yemen, adding that the new administration will work on that in very short order. Which I absolutely don't believe. You don't believe until you see it. Like everything with the Biden administration, he's probably going to bullshit you, and whatever he does is probably going to be watered down version of what you think it is. And then continuing on here to the last section, how far, or before, let's finish that also sentence. How far this policy shift from the U.S. goes into practice remains to be seen. But Boris Johnson will face new pressure to end Britain's arms sales to Saudi Arabia. And then continuing on here. Of course, Saudi Arabia is not the only country to which Britain sells arms. In the last 5 years, Britain has sold weapons to 80% of the countries under arms embargoes, trade sanctions, and other restrictions by the Department for International Trade, many of them on Britain's own human rights priority list. This includes £26 million worth of arms export licenses to Sisi's Egypt, the dictatorship in Bahrain, and the Nigerian police who were spotlighted for their massacre of civilians last year. Far from being necessary for national cash flow, the arms industry is one of the most highly government subsidized areas of the economy. Since the beginning of the pandemic, the government has pumped hundreds of millions into the arms industries, more than it has spent on ventilators during the COVID-19 pandemic. While the government was unable to provide PPE for healthcare staff and has announced a public sector wage freeze for the very key workers that have kept society functioning over the last year, it has approved a further 16.5 billion. I'm going to assume this is pounds again. I don't know. For defense spending.
It is.
Okay, the little symbols fuck me up all the time. Because could be the repurposing of Rolls-Royce operations into ventilator production early on in the pandemic showed just how easily Britain could redirect the skills, investment, and technology used for producing instruments of death into green and renewable technology industries, and that not doing so is simply a political choice. And so yeah, like, incredible article. Tribune literally always kills it.
People are wearing fucking, not just people, fucking doctors, frontline workers, and nurses are wearing fucking garbage bags while, all of our money is being spent subsidizing the massacre of Yemenis.
Absolutely.
Basically, is what it's saying. The breakdown.
As well as Palestinians.
Yeah, or me. I don't know if it's Myanmarians, but yeah, people all around the world.
Myanmar.
Yeah, I don't know what you would call someone from a Myanmaran. Maybe that seems more in line.
Yeah, because you're not. I don't think.
Well, you called them Burmese before.
Yeah, I think
Burma.
that was that's like the colonized.
Yeah, well, it's not Burma. Burma was fucking
Yeah.
India and a couple other different areas combined into colonial shit.
If we're not actively taking over your government at the moment, that means we've probably either tried to take it over in the past or we've successfully taken it over.
The United Kingdom was just like, we're gonna put this border right here. Yeah, so this is the country now.
Isn't it crazy that England has borders and they're a fucking island?
Isn't it crazy that Northern Ireland is Britain?
Yeah, it's not Ireland. It's just forget it.
I hate the United Kingdom.
Mm-hmm. Do we wanna move to the next one?
Yeah, we can go ahead and move on.
I think that one was really important though, and we talk about Yemen all the time because it's like the most important humanitarian crisis. I saw something the other day. Maybe we can tie this in with the fuck England and solidarity to Northern Ireland. Someone was like saying like, someone was like, yeah, solidarity from Northern Ireland to Palestine. They're like, you can't compare our struggles. Like, that's not how solidarity works, motherfucker. That it's not about my struggle is worse than yours. I'm just saying that because Yemen's struggle is, I think, honestly, by far the worst thing that's happening on the planet. But
like, if it keeps going, there's literally no hope.
Yeah, you're gonna exterminate a whole people, but that doesn't. As far as solidarity goes, we're not ranking like people's struggles or something. Like, it's all one. Moving completely away from that though, and just another element to our corruption in the United States. Something I was actually watching this morning, my day off. There was the you have the impeachment shit today, where you have like the Senate saying whether or not they should. It's constitutionally okay to move forward with impeachment or whatever. Blah blah blah. Who fucking cares? And then you have Neera Tanden getting confirmed for her position of Office of Management and Budget. So I'll read this Grey Zone piece and tell you why Neera Tanden sucks if you don't know her and why that's shitty.
Girl boss.
Yep. Actually, I'm gonna send you a video too, Carlos. If you could play it after I read this bit, because this happened too. I'll send it in staff. And I think it obviously the person saying the clip I'll show you in a second is not saying it for the right reasons, but nevertheless, it's funny. Skipping the headline, the first like bolded paragraph there, it says, "This is Max Blumenthal, by the way, Grayson. Good work." As president of the Center for American Progress, Neera Tanden, what a shitty, horrible name, by the way. Neera Tanden raked in whopping donations from repressive right-wing foreign governments while she advanced their hardline policy priorities in Washington. Will the Senate ask her about these sordid arrangements? No, they didn't, by the way. The U.S. Senate will convene hearings on the confirmation of Neera Tanden to lead President Joseph Biden's Office of Management and Budget on February 9th. Tanden is a veteran, and that continued on. Tanden is a veteran Democratic Party operative, best known for her intemperate online commentary, fanatical loyalty to Hillary Clinton, and visceral loathing of anything remotely affiliated with Bernie Sanders. While Democrats are almost certain to support Tanden's confirmation in lockstep, which they did, and Sanders might even raise an approving mitten, her long record of inflammatory attacks on the GOP will be a central source of Republican opposition, which did happen. The Republicans hammered her. Faux hammered her, honestly. Yet when Tanden appears before the Senate, members of both parties may ignore a much more salient issue stemming from her leadership of the Center for American Progress, the Democratic Party-affiliated think tank in Washington, D.C., where she currently serves as president and CEO. Under Tanden's watch, CAP raked in hefty donations from foreign governments and their lobbying operations, while churning out policy papers and organizing events that furthered those donors' interests inside the Beltway. In almost every case, the foreign states that pumped money into CAP's coffers were right-wing U.S. allies seeking a more militaristic line from Washington against their regional adversaries. The donors included lobbyists for the apartheid regime of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who enjoyed a friendly public forum with Tanden, the permanent monarchy of the United Arab Emirates, who was ambassador to the U.S. publicly thanked CAP for a favorable report it published on the Middle East following a series of substantial donations. And it goes on to also Japan and Taiwan, also they were in coordination with. If you could go back to the top of the article, too, it shows the picture of her with Benjamin Netanyahu, the former president of Israel. And, yeah, they didn't, and I guess the point of this article is, and it was right in predicting that no one was going to come out and criticize her work with the Center for American Progress and their work working with basically right-wing regime change operatives and governments. And she basically got pushed through with little to no resistance, only the Republicans with faux resistance. But there was, I think it was Ted Kennedy, who's a piece of shit in his own right, did call her out on, because one of the things Neera Tanden is famous for is, as it pointed out, her Twitter account blasting Sanders supporters and being honestly one of the most toxic people on Twitter.
Toxic bros.
Yeah, if you think Bernie should be, or not Bernie, if you think Trump should be banned, like I think all those merits apply to Neera Tanden as well. Can you play that that video I sent though? Because Ted brings this up. It's actually pretty funny.
It's not just one or two. I think you deleted about 1,000 tweets. And it wasn't just about Republicans. And I don't mind disagreements in policy. I think that's great. I love the dialectic. But the comments were personal. I mean, you call Senator Sanders everything but an ignorant slut.
That is not true.
And when, it's not just one or two.
That is not true. It is not true.
Check the record that we corrected.
Check the record of the tweets I deleted.
It's like very random.
It was kind of out of, but it's true. She did say some of the most outlandish shit, accusing Bernie Sanders supporters of being anti-Semitic.
I mean, it's true.
Misogynistic. Yeah, it is true. No,
There's got to be a lot of screenshots out there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And she said so many things. And I think obviously things on purpose as like an operative of the Democratic Party, just like she's been an operative for foreign governments and their right-wing policies. She's done that here too by attacking leftist candidates like Bernie Sanders and shit like that. And now she's rolling with Team Biden. That's
Riding with Biden, baby.
wait. We don't have the other clip, but there's another one later on this same like exchange where she claims to be an expert on nuclear waste management, and so they question her like, well, what should they do with nuclear waste management? She goes, I think we should secure it. And they're like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I was like, yeah, thanks. Do you have any other profound profound thoughts?
What do you think we should do with nuclear waste? Well,
We should make sure it doesn't do something. Yeah,
we
good
should do
job.
something about it. That's solid as fuck. Is that how?
That's as big a liar as
Look,
I've seen Trump be.
That's the standard for the Democratic Party.
I'm gonna say it. I might have to go out to DC and give me one of these jobs. Give me one of these Hillary Clinton jobs. I might need a grift for a couple of years.
Just literally say nothing factual and
Yeah.
everything will work.
I just need to get my money up a little bit, and then I'll come back to the podcast life, enriched in corporate money.
Get a job in nuclear waste management and just do nothing.
Shit, I might talk shit about you guys and get my own podcast. I'll be on Pod Save America.
No God. Pod Spoop America.
Pod Spoop America. Holy I'm on to something. I'll be right back.
Is there any you guys have any final thoughts before we move into our last? It's really two pieces here, but they go together.
No, you go ahead. Let's take it away.
Yeah. So, and I kind of said this. I think I said this earlier with Yemen. You know, it's important we understand talking about these issues, the solidarity, and not ranking struggles or anything, and making sure that we cover international news, and that's important. Something we talk about all the time is Brazil, South America at large, but Brazil specifically. And I think often we talk about Bolsonaro and Lula, and we give people speeches and dynamics that are happening, but maybe people don't fully understand the situation also and how things have gotten there. So I wanted to give this to kind of inform people more on that. The beginning's gonna feel like you're like jumping into the middle of a conversation for a second, but just know that they're talking about how Bolsonaro and this neoliberal movement in Brazil, very similar to what's happened in the U.S. and other countries, has moved in and given rise to the fascists also, and just the removing of Lula and the gains of the citizens and all that good stuff. So, and then after that, we have a piece on Lula and the CIA and FBI pretty much blatantly trying to remove him. So I want to read that piece too.
The immiseration that people have felt in the transition to Bolsonaro's presidency, when he has basically implemented neoliberalism on a large scale across the country, particularly when it comes into providing services, to the poor. And I think there's a few different aspects of his neoliberalism that I would like to touch on, but I think to start with, we have to talk about the private sector. Basically, him opening up the Brazilian government, essentially, in a lot of ways, as a fire sale for foreign investment and foreign buyouts to state-owned companies.
Yeah, well, if you look at the history of coups d'etats in Latin America, they're always about this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 73 in Chile was to try and privatize
Can we pause it for
copper,
a second,
which was their main industry.
By the way, this is Brian Mier, who, as far as international news, he does work with Brazil Wire. Recommend them. That's pretty much one of the only Brazilian Portuguese publications I know that does good leftist reporting in English also. So.
And it was orchestrated in partnership between ITT Corporation and the U.S. government, CIA, whatever. You know, so first of all, in the case of Bolsonaro, one thing we tried to make as clear as possible in the documentary is that there's been full continuity between Michel Temer government, which is the government that took over after Dilma Rousseff was illegitimately impeached on nothing, and Bolsonaro. So that what happened is, and Michel Temer even admitted publicly in a meeting at ASCOA, American Society Council of Americas, that Dilma Rousseff was thrown out of office because she wouldn't adhere to this economic plan called Bridge to the Future. And people have looked at the plan and noted that it looks like it was originally written in English and translated to Portuguese with Google Translate. And what it is it's like a Washington consensus laundry list, you know? And so this is what started immediately with Temer, and with Bolsonaro, it's just been continuity. It's, you know, dismantling labor rights. They transformed Brazil into a right-to-work country and gutted all of the funding for the labor unions. It's, you know, it's freezing expenditures on health and education. Before the coup, petroleum profits from the state petroleum company, which the U.S. wanted to dismantle, you know, were earmarked 100% of the profits for public health and education. And, you know, deregulating, lowering sentences on illegal land grabs, deregulating pesticides use, so that all these products that are illegal in the European Union are being dumped in Brazil now. And, you know, trying to sell off state companies. Most recently, they're trying to sell off the post office. They're selling off state electric companies.
Sounds
And,
familiar.
you know, in the case of Paulo Guedes, who's Bolsonaro's economics minister. He's an original Chicago boy. He actually studied under Milton Friedman in the 70s at University of Chicago, and is considered one of the most mediocre of the entire bunch. He couldn't even publish his dissertation, no, not even in Portuguese. And so he started this massive like hedge fund investment bank called BTG Pactual, which today it's Brazilian, but its ownership is more foreign than Brazilian. You know, they purchased the state bank's credit card system for 12% of its worth. The state bank Banco do Brasil, which was founded in 1807 or something, it's one of the most stable banks in the world. You know, so it's not even like, even from kind of like neoliberal criteria, even applying the most rigid neoliberal dogma, they're not following it properly because they're not allowing bidders to compete with each other. They're selling stuff off to cronies at pennies on the dollar, which is pretty much how it's always happened in Latin America after U.S.-backed regime change operations, frankly. You know.
And yeah, I mean, it's always funny to hear these folks talk about the free market, which is a pure fantasy in any context, but particularly in Brazil. And one thing that has been really frightening has been, as you mentioned, what is happening to the environment, to the agricultural system, and also, and this is a very grand neoliberal, you know, project, the privatization of water in Brazil too under Bolsonaro's regime.
Yeah, they're trying very hard. It's pushed through the Congress already, and Brazil is the world's largest freshwater supplier, you know, or owner, whatever you want to call it, because it's not just the Amazon River, which is enormous. It's almost 100 miles wide at its mouth. Okay, it's not just that. It's the Guarani Aquifer, which is, I believe, the world's first or second largest freshwater aquifer, and Coca-Cola is trying to purchase it. You know, which is just, you know, that's the end if that happens. Really, it's going to be really bad.
No, absolutely. Yeah, and basically having the state playing.
Yeah, so you see, you know, private interest is coming in and dismantling all the gains that, you know, we've spoken that the Lula government made in the past, and they've done that by, you know, privatizing all their natural resources, their land, their water, to these corporations, and to privatizing their industries too, that all these state-owned industries that, they made them state-owned so that they could actually give those gains to the people, so that the people could see some of that wealth. But now they're being privatized, and the money's being put back into the hands of the, international capitalists. So that paints a picture and maybe gives people more of an idea of, Brazilian politics. Let's pull up the Popular Resistance article. And, Lula and his, presidency was the anecdote to that, right? The antidote, rather. It says here, Lula's arrest is a gift from the CIA. A petition filed with the Federal Supreme Court, STF, by the defense of ex-President Lula presents new evidence that ex-judge Sergio Moro colluded with foreign authorities in conducting the process which led to the arrest of the Workers' Party leader and his subsequent barring from a run for the presidency in 2018. In the latest leaked Telegram conversations, which are now official court documents, the level of illegal collaboration visible between the Lava Jato task force and the internationally promoted judge is the most flagrant yet, and more valuable for Lula's defense than chats published by The Intercept in 2019. The latest excerpts could result in the politically motivated case against Lula being annulled, which is huge because he could potentially run for president again, and it just gives him the one thing they held against him was that corruption charge. But if you can completely prove, which I think this does, that it was an attempt to coup him, that only further clears his name. Sergio Moro and Delton Dalaganol have been accused of treason for their illegal collusion with United States authorities. In 2017, Deputy U.S. Attorney General Kenneth Blanco boasted at an Atlantic Council event of informal illegal collaboration with Brazilian prosecutors on the Lula case, citing it as a success story. In 2019, the U.S. Department of Justice attempted to pay the Lava Jato task force a $682 million kickback, ostensibly for them to set up a private foundation to fight corruption. On April 5th, 2018, the day Lula was arrested by Moro, prosecutor Isabella Groba revealed the news, quote, Moro orders Lula to be arrested, unquote. Head of the Lava Jato task force, Delton Dalaganol, replied, quote, before MA, Minister Marco Aurelio screws everything up. Dalaganol was referring to what Aurelio was then preparing, a Supreme Court vote which would potentially see defendants such as Lula freed from jail, pending their second appeal. Had this passed, it would have enabled Lula to run for president at the 2018 election. Polling then showed him 20 points ahead of nearest rival, the US-backed far-right candidate Jair Bolsonaro. Jair Bolsonaro and Sergio Moro made an unprecedented visit to CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia, after coming to power with the backing of Wall Street. So now, not only is the clown fascist president Jair Bolsonaro, who swung in after Lula was, deposed and could no longer run, was banned from running. Him and Sergio Moro, the guy that effectively made it so that Lula could no longer run, they went in tandem to Langley, Virginia, CIA headquarters, and they're like, "Hey, let's go ahead and let's get it down in Brazil." And yeah, like the other thing too, the nearly $700 million that they were just going to straight up give to the Lava Jato case to go after Lula. Like, it's not more blatant than that. Just the State Department giving hundreds of millions of dollars to go after a president. That's directly a coup attempt.
No, yeah, absolutely. Like, it's just the most blatant, like, U.S. hands-on intervention of another sovereign nation, and and just further holding back these countries from developing and further holding the world back from getting off of things like fossil fuels entirely.
Well, who else is going to help these countries fight against their democratically elected presidents?
Yeah, that everyone, the Lula da Silva, who is I think a steel union worker his whole life, a steel union leader or iron union leader. yeah, it's we've covered in the past 2 other blatant collaborations between the current Brazilian government, the CIA, FBI, and national security state of the United States. But here's just another blatant example, and why we should support not just Lula, but the citizens that backed him and that have fought against Bolsonaro and his regime.
Absolutely.
I think on that note, let's end it.
Bing, bing,
Yeah.
bong, bong, bing, bing, bing.
I think we've gotten through everything we needed to go through today. That was the last one. Oh, Alex Jam with,
wow.
with the host.
With the host.
Just towards the end here, we appreciate that. Welcome to the stream. Thank you. We appreciate that. But yeah, like I was saying, I think we got through everything we needed to get through today. We had a pretty good show. A lot of solid articles to get through, and I think we got through them pretty quick as well. Because I think these last couple, like you're saying, have been like around 2 hours. So, like a nice little quick one for you guys. We'll be back on Sunday for another one. If you enjoyed the show and you're not followed already, please do. We really appreciate that. If you're watching without an account, please drop a follow, or please create an account then drop a follow. It really helps us. YouTube crowd, we appreciate you. Make sure you guys are liking and subscribing. Share the videos with your pals. We're getting all the videos edited for SoundCloud and Spotify. Our contact bin thing has all of our links to everything. All of our social media is just Spoop Podcast. You just look up Spoop Podcast and boom, we're right there. So yeah, go check us out on everything. Follow us on everything. Keep up to date with what happens with the show, developments, things like that. But yeah, we really appreciate you guys. We had like a good amount of people tonight, which is really cool. And like I said, we'll be back here on Sunday. Thank you guys so much. I say it every show. It's very important that workers all over the world have international solidarity with each other, because until we are all free, we all have economic freedom, we can't have any freedom. Freedom, real freedom can't exist without economic freedom, and we have to make sure that we're looking out for all workers everywhere, regardless of how under or overexploited they are.
I want to say this, but yeah, I think a lot with like the impeachment trials, that unfortunately, even though a lot of those people who were at the Capitol that day, you probably don't agree with politically. I mean, the reasons they were there, or at least the reasons they thought they were there for, aren't all bad. In fact, those people are more your ally than like people in the Biden administration, especially people like Neera Tanden, who are getting appointed to these powerful positions. So that's why the working class has to come together.
That was kind of what we started the show with, right?
Yeah.
We were talking about, not just giving up on people too.
Mm-hmm.
I think just making the, it's about working class politics. We got to appeal to our people because, yeah, for us, we do have often more in common with them.
Absolutely.
That's the goal, right? It's to get normal people, make everyone's lives better, right? So that's
lift the burden placed upon the proletariat, if you want to get fancy with it.
Yeah. Healthcare, please.
Healthcare, please. Line Cook Doomer says healthcare, please. But yeah, that's the show. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be back here on Sunday, 10:30 p.m. every single Wednesday and Sunday.
That'll be 37.
It will be 37. Thank you guys so much. We're gonna play you out with this song here. We really appreciate each and every single one of you. And yeah, thank you so much. And we'll be back later, y'all.